Good afternoon and welcome back to the Sunday Chill with me, Claire Manning from Thirsty Brush. Today I'm going to try something a little bit different. I've never attempted this before, so let's see if it works. And I'm going to use my Scan and Cut, but I'm also going to use a Thirsty Brush design, and I'm going to try and make a keyring completely from scratch. And like I say, let's see if it works out. I know I did a Scan and Cut project on Thursday as well, so I thought I'd continue. I've been playing all week, and I'll do another one. So don't worry if you're mainly here for the paper craft and card making, watercolouring, that kind of thing. I haven't stopped doing that. I just thought I'd just do a couple of videos with something else, just to mix things up a little bit and give you some other ideas for your crafting projects. Many of us who like making cards and painting and drawing and all those kind of things are just generally crafty, so we like any ideas that things that we can make for around the home and ourselves too. So I hope you're all well and had a good week. Before I begin, I'm just going to show you my supplies. So if this is something that you want to have a go at, then this is what you will need. So I'm using a Brother Scan and Cut machine. This is just the CM300, the most basic one that I've had for a little while but not done enough with. And I'll go through on the screen what we're going to do step by step. And other supplies, I'm using a stencil. I've picked the leopard print one that we had before. I've got some faux leather, and this is what the main part of our keyring is going to be made out of. Some heat transfer vinyl that I'm hoping to put this lovely leopard print pattern onto this material, or at least a portion of the material. And this is holographic one, but you can use any kind of heat transferable vinyl at all. And mat wise, I need the scanning mat and a cut mat. And you will also need a deep cut blade. So the deep cut one is the purple, because this is relatively thick. I mean, it's not, it's like 1.5 mil maybe. It's fine for the machine to handle, but it does need a deep cut blade because it is thicker than cardstock, for example. And then finally, you will need some hardware for your key fob. I've just got these off Amazon, so I'm just going to use just a standard keyring fob, and you will need something to either glue or stitch. I'm going to have a go at doing it with no sewing. I'll explain to you how you can sew it together if you want to. I'm going to use a fabric glue and see how that holds up. I'll use it for the keyring for a while, and if it's really not holding it, you know, going in and out of my bag every day, then I can always go back and stitch it at a later time. So let's crack on and start the project. So what I want to do is to be able to get the pattern of this lovely leopard print onto some of this fabric. I need to be able to cut the heat transfer vinyl in these shapes. So one of the ways, there's probably a few different ways that you could do this, but I thought if I can scan the pattern from that stencil into my Scan and Cut, turn it into a cut file, and then cut out the heat transfer vinyl and then iron it onto my fabric. So the only issue I thought of was when I scan this, white on white doesn't tend to scan very well. So I'm just going to place it on top of a piece of black cardstock underneath there. Okay, so just pop that black cardstock underneath the scanning mat and then the stencil on top, and that should give enough contrast that the stencil can be then transferred to cut. So let me bring this in view of the camera for you so you can see what I'm doing on the screen. Okay, so just load my machine, my mat in. And tap scan. I'm going to do scan to cut data. Direct cut is when you want to immediately cut it out. So say you're scanning in stamped images and things like that and you just want to cut around them. I want to actually save this as a file and play around with it before I cut my heat transfer vinyl. So I'm going to do that. Let it do its thing. Excuse me if you hear little squeaks as well. The dog's got his toys out, obviously, because I've turned my camera on. Okay, it just takes a minute or two to process that and turn it into a cut file. Oh, snow. Good boy. He's got his favourite new teddy. Should just be another moment. There we go. So there's our file. So let me take that mat out. Horse, no. Good boy. Okay, so at the moment, there's bits in this that we don't need, like all that background, etc. So this first button at the top that I've just pressed gives you, can you see the pattern itself? So if I then bring this in, let me try that one, see if that one, trying to think of how. I don't need the edge. Horse, please. I don't want any edges to cut, I just want the pattern. So I'm just bringing it in. Just seeing the difference between the two options and which looks best. Horse. Okay, that one where I've done the inner and the outer, that's given us absolutely every little piece of the pattern there. So let's save that. We can always delete any other bits that we don't need. I'm just going to save it to my machine for ease, but you can save to a USB as well if you need to. And then it's saved it as file 15, and I can come out of now, press the home button back to the main screen. Press OK to delete all patterns. That's not deleting your file, it's just deleting what's on the screen that moment. And then now I should be able to find it in the save data of my machine. Okay, so that's now our leopard print pattern, and you can see it's all the different little bits. So that's the one we want. Let's group all those together and position it where we want on the mat. So to group, you press this red 3 little squares there. And this button as well will highlight. So it's got a square, a circle and a triangle with a red line around it. What that's telling you is if you want to highlight everything together to group it. And now if you moved that around, you're moving all of them, but it's still not one piece of a cut file. So the last thing to do there is tap this one at the bottom there. And now that is fully one piece. I can resize as one piece if I want to. So I don't think I do need to resize, but if you do, you just press this one with the square and the arrows up and down, and you can go bigger or smaller. If I did it in the middle, I can take it right to the full size of mat if I want. Actually, this piece of faux leather, if I explain how I want the key fob to be, so it's going to kind of fold over, and I'll show you in a few minutes the file that I'm going to use to cut, but it's going to have like a drop. Horse, please. No. Good boy. And I just want a portion of it to be leopard print. So actually, when I transfer the pattern onto this piece of fabric, I only need about this portion, maybe about 3.5, 4 inches of it with the heat transfer pattern on. So let's think about that. That would be 150 mil is 6 inches. So let's go 100mm, which is 10 centimetres. And let's pop that right up the top. Okay. Let's go back and do the heat transfer vinyl in the Leopard print. I know exactly what settings to use for this. So I'm just going to pop that through. Pop that on my mat, sorry. I need to swap back to have my normal blade for this. And I usually use about 2.5 and a pressure of 0. And I need to find my pattern. It should be on my machine. And what did we save it as? Number 16. So I've just put the heat transfer vinyl shiny side down on the mat. Okay, let's go cut. It's telling me that's going to take 4 minutes. Okay, so it's finished cutting. So let's unload the mat and have a look at our lovely leopard print design. Check it's all come out. So wow, that looks lovely. So I reckon I can get a couple of projects out of this. So I'm just going to trim around it with my scissors and then I'll weed out the excess. So I've got myself a new weeding tool because my other one wasn't doing the job properly. So I'm just going to try and grab the corner. And then peel back. All the excess. Don't worry if your vinyl tears, it's not going to tear the bits that you want to use. It's only going to tear, as long as it's cut through properly on your correct settings for your machine, it shouldn't tear the your actual design. This is looking really good. If this works well, I might have a go at doing some kind of monogrammed key rings as well. Double check I've got all the bits out that I need to. There's a couple left. This weeding tool's much better. These kind of tools, they remind me of the dentist, you know, when they use it to scrape your teeth. I hate that. I'm not a fan. Is that everything? Oh, there's a bit stuck there. Oh, it's just underneath. One more piece. And there we go. So now I'm going to iron that onto this piece of faux leather. So same as I did with the t-shirt, I'm going to position it on. I haven't got an easy press or anything like that. So I'm going to take it over to my ironing board now, pop a pillowcase over the top, and then give it a good press for a good 30 seconds, check it, and keep going back in for maybe another 10 seconds here and there if it's not fully stuck. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so that appears to have stuck well, but this is a peel off when it's cool vinyl, so I'm just giving it a second to cool down. I didn't want to overdo it either because technically faux leather is like a plastic, so ooh, it seems to be working well. Oh, hello, Horse, you come to have a look. Do you want a keyring? I am super pleased with that. Obviously, you could do a whole piece and then cut loads of different things out of it, but I'll show you why I only want a section. But that looks absolutely amazing. That's on really well. Fabulous. Okay, so I need to now transfer the file that I made for the keyring shape. I've done it on my computer. If you're interested in having the file to make this for yourself, then maybe on the Facebook page or something when I share this video, I'll pop a comment underneath, and I'll let you know how I can share that with you. So for the moment, I've saved it on here, and I'm just going to pop that USB into my machine. I need to go back to the home page to find it. Get rid of that now. So pattern to find it, save data, and this time I'm doing the USB symbol. So it should be the last one I put on. Please don't say it's not here. Oh, keyring, there we go. Okay, so can you see that shape there? So folded over, that should make a really nice kind of teardrop fob. Let's okay that. So I need to size it and position it. What I want is that one side has the pattern kind of coming off on an angle. So let's size it first. Oops. So I've clicked on it to put the red circle round to highlight it. Go to this top left, and then do you remember the square one with the arrows to resize? So it's 24 centimeters at the moment. I want each kind of teardrop to be about 3.5 inches, which is say 7.5 centimeters. Doubled would be 15, and then the bit in the middle. So I think if we just go down a little bit, let's do it to 20 centimeters in total. Okay. So now I need to position it over here if this is how my material is going on my mat. And like I say, I want it on an angle so I can use this rotate other one. So if I do it another 10 degrees each, that should work well. And then if I put it about an inch in, maybe 2. Just deciding where it's, let's put this on the mat and compare that to the screen. I'm not going to cut it this way up, don't worry, but so that would start coming out around here. So let's move that over. Let's try, mind you, when I turn this over, it's going to need to mirror, isn't it? Yeah, that's a bit stupid of me. Right, let's go in the other direction and do that over here, because my material is going to be this way. Okay, let's give that a go and see whether it works. If it doesn't, we should have some left to do another one. It's not a problem. So I'm going to okay through all this now. I'm happy. Yeah, it's going to start cutting about 2.5 centimetres. 2.5 inches, sorry. Okay. I need to swap out my blade to the deep cut. So I got this from the Crafty Gentleman blog. I think he's got a Facebook page as well. Hasn't got faux leather, but it's got leather 1mm deep cut purple blade on blade depth 5. So that's blade depth 5 and pressure 5. I'm just going to go back to pattern and let's pick like a little heart or something. Okay, let's just pick this heart, take it down to quite small, and this will test those blade settings against this fabric. And the reason it's important to do this is, one, you don't waste your material if it doesn't work. And I know I've used that guide. Oops, sorry. But every machine is different, every blade is different, because I could have used this 100 times and you haven't used yours at all, for example. Each bit of fabric that you buy from different places is going to be a slightly different depth. So it's really important to do a little test in an inconspicuous corner first. So I'm just going to have to move this back for a second while I put my fabric on my mat. I do think it's cut easier if I do it that way. Let's try. As I say, I've never cut this type of material before, so who knows if this is going to work. Let's load that in. And then bring this back so we can have a look and see if it works. So this is just a little heart in the corner. Let's cut that. And the pressure was 5 as well, wasn't it? I think. Let's just double check. Yeah, blade 5, pressure 5. Okay, I'm going to keep it on a slow speed because I don't want it to drag or anything like that on this kind of thicker material. Draw speed we don't need. And let's see how that cuts. Okay, finished. Let's take that out. Look at that, absolutely perfect. Brilliant. So we know those settings. In fact, it's marked my mat. It certainly hasn't gone through it, but I might just reduce the pressure a little bit to 4. And we tested, didn't we? So I know that it's blade 5, pressure. I did do it on 5, it worked fine. I'm going to try it on 4 just so it doesn't damage my mat too much. I mean, when you get these cut marks on your mats, you can still use them. I just like to try and make it last as long as humanly possible because they're so difficult to get hold of and they're not cheap. So that's all the settings. Let's go cut. So we should have a plain back and a vinyl holographic leopard print pattern on part of the front. Let's peel that off. I think it's worked, guys. That's exactly what I wanted, that on an angle there. That looks really, really cool, doesn't it? So let's pop in our ring. And like I said, you could sew So if you did a seam allowance of, say, just under a centimetre, something like that, I'm going to see how long it lasts if I use a fabric glue. So let's just grab that. So I picked up this fabric glue online, Fabric Fuse, and it's only because my sewing machine, one I haven't used in ages, and it's kind of in a storage box at the moment, and I was kind of feeling lazy. But I'm interested as well to see, do I need to trim this to get it open? I'm interested to see, you know, will it stand up to everyday use as a keyring with using something like this? Because if it does, it's certainly quicker and easier than getting the sewing machine out for such a small thing. So it tells me on the instructions to do a thin line, and I'm going to play it safe and do some all the way around the edge and some in the middle. And then it tells me to give it a good press and leave it for 4 to 6 hours. So I'm not going to mess about with it then. I'm just going to line it up as best I can. I mean, it depends what kind of finish you want as well. I just thought that looks so cool with that holographic. If I then have to stitch through it, would it ruin the look of it? So it's not doing much gluing at the moment, but then I've never really used a fabric glue. So I'm going to put that underneath something heavy for the 4 to 6 hours, and I will keep you updated, guys, as to how that holds up and whether I ended up going back to stitch. But again, this is just something, a different way for you to use those stencils or die cuts or whatever. If you've got a cutting machine like this, Scan and Cut or the Cameo or the Cricut or anything like that, let's use them and think about different ways to use them. And I will share that free cut file with you gladly if you get in touch with me. I don't have a problem with that at all. It only took me a few minutes to make. So you can make your own beautiful key fob then out of whatever material you like, really. I've used faux leather that comes in a myriad of colours, and so does the vinyl. But you could use any kind of sturdy material that's suitable for making a keyring. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. It's something different, and this Thursday I will be back with another card making video for you. But in the meantime, stay safe and take care.